Do you think that's the way to handle things, Illness? Hey, Geester. Turn around and walk a mile in the wrong direction. That'll certainly help out. No, I'm actually, I don't even have that Honda anymore. Actually, it's I have two Toyota RAV4 hybrids. So, and I brought one of them in on Monday for regular maintenance, and then I brought this one in, the newer one, today for regular maintenance. And then I got to go get a blood draw. So today I am in a different part of the world than where I usually am. I will never see that. I don't know. I doubt I'll see that other Honda dealership again. So no more trips to strange Italian delis anymore. But how you doing, Illness? And how are you, Geester? You're between meetings. How it's been nice out here the last few days. How are you doing temperature-wise out by you, Illness? Today's a little overcast, but in general it's been like high 70s, low 80s. Very nice, like not overboard. Cloudy but not hot. Yeah, Geester. Yeah, this honestly, the weather has been much, much better over the last week or so, which has been nice. And I gather that when I was in Indianapolis last week for Gen Con, that it was pretty brutal out in the Northeast where I live. So they're actually installing solar panels on my house, and they're just about done now. But they only could do a couple of like half days last week because it was so hot. Yesterday they were here for the entire day because it was fine. And so they're just about done now. Hi, Emily. Cool breeze through the window, yeah. I love breezeways, I have to say. Like, I grew up in a house that had a breezeway, at least for the first 5 years or so, between the ages of 2 and 7. And it was nice to just be able to sit out there and have just through the screens. Oh, that's good stuff. Fresh air without flies is my dream scenario. Fresh air without flies. But our backyard is really, really nice. It's one of my favorite places in the house. I have two favorite places in the house outside. One of them outside is we have a big swing, tree swing, which I love, and then the other one is the back deck that kind of has just because you can see a big tree from there. It's nice. Most of the windows are painted shut. Well, it depends. If it's brutal outside, it doesn't help to have the windows open. We don't have enough. We have our mini split, the air conditioning stuff we have in a few rooms. But we're saving up so that we can get, what we need in the other room, in the other rooms, so that we can have the windows open when we want or not when we want, but not have to have them open to make it livable. So, yeah, I know that feel, Geester. I think we've talked about that before. How old is your house again, Geester? Mine is 1803, so it is. When the guys were putting the panels up, the roofers, at one point, one of the guys like, yeah, you got a big, the roof's in great shape, but you got this big lump here. So we just had to flatten it out. And I'm like, it doesn't surprise me, man. Does not surprise me. Yeah, it's that like some of the best weather months are between basically like late April until like maybe early June. You have like a month and a half, maybe a month and a half where it's just right. And then on the other side, when you're talking like September through like maybe the second week of October, and then it starts getting too cold. So in between those. 2015. I don't think I knew your house was that new, Illness. So yeah, so you got the 7-year-old house. You got all the trimmings and everything. And now you're building out that new office of yours. Or not new, but like setting it up with the bookshelves and everything. I went back and forth on that. You know, when we were looking for houses, we first thought about the. Oh, nice, Elnis. Nice, yeah. I know you said there was like figuring out the room was going to be important and how to coordinate it. But when I was first looking for houses, we were, you know, I thought on the one hand, I'm like, you know, we like houses with charm, and then we're like, we like houses that aren't falling apart, and then we ended up with something in the middle. I did not ever expect I was going to be living in as old a house as I am, but it's also a house that's been updated and like renovated and, you know, done with it for a long time before we got it. So wow, Tren. Wow, really? Wow, you think a guy's a good friend and all, and then the true colors come out. So Emily, you just want to go straight. Well, no, let's be clear, Emily. If you got the Victorian style tower, right? You just go straight up. Like, you own that airspace, you just go straight up. Good 500 feet. You just bring that sucker right up into Michigan airspace. There was one house I saw, and I haven't been able to find it. It popped up once, and I haven't been able to find it. You have to get Ferndale to agree to it. No, you're the queen of Ferndale. Why wouldn't they agree? But and it was this place that had this incredible like Victorian tower, like seriously, like the author's tower, like the just the ridiculous, like you go in. I was like, and it made no sense. It was like 2 hours upstate New York or something. It would have meant like a 2.5 hour commute each way to work. Like, it made no sense. But man, there was a part of me that was like, you know, to be in a writer's tower, that would be, you know. There you go. Oh, no kidding. As soon as people get famous, they leave, huh? So Ferndale is the springboard for success. Oh, nice. Hilness, are you in an area that is kind of a growth area? You know, like an area that people are looking to buy? Because the funny thing is, like, we actually looked at it, and the value of our house has increased because of where we are in southwestern Connecticut. But I mean, we love this house and don't want to move. Like, we're going to be here at least until the kids are grown up, and that's 15 years at least. So we're here for the long haul. Yeah. That's what you need. You need that glorious, that spectacular library. You need the ones that show up when, like, the New York Times does its thing where it's like, look at these amazing houses from around the country, around the world that everyone looks at but no one can actually afford to buy. You know? People leaving the big cities has raised our home values. Okay, so what's the no part? Oh man, that is still one of the most memorable moments for me out of the Tyranny campaign, Trent. Poor sod, just woo. Oh man, it's good times. Hope you're doing okay, Trent. Oh, interesting, Hilness. Interesting. Okay. What's up, Rudnell? You're enduring? Yeah. Well, there is as they say, there is a nobility in enduring. And I'm glad to hear that. I mean, I want you to be doing better than enduring, ultimately, but I'm glad that you're enduring at the present. I feel like, Arudinel, tell me if this is true, I feel like there must be more Victorian towers per capita in Maine than in other states. I don't know why I feel that way. I just have this image that there are certain places in Maine where there just must be a lot of, like, the equivalent of authors' towers. But I think that's probably because I'm just imagining that, like, Stephen King... Well, I know there's more lighthouses per capita in Maine. I know that for a fact. So, getting a pizza for breakfast. That's good stuff. It's got all your major food groups, you know. Trying to attract people to do remote work with moving incentives. Yeah. A lot of people... you know, it's funny, too. Cities, a lot of these places, in fact, the area that we are... is now starting to do very well again, starting to expand with people being interested again, and it's stalled for years. So there's towns that stall for decades, and then suddenly something happens to kind of push them over the edge. Sometimes they don't ever push over the edge, but it is amazing sometimes how a town that you just think is never going to change from a particular way eventually does jump up. So. Ice Baron Manor Houses, actually. Oh, really? Ice Baron Manor Houses. Wow, that's also the name of my next ironic punk band. Very on-brand soup. Well, see, what is the brand, though, now? Because now it's Emily D. Honored, so is it Honored Soup? It's not garlic tofu-based soup anymore, if it's on-brand. Now you have a new brand. I'm sure, obviously, it's vegan soup, so we know that. Is there an Athos soup? The brand was always Emily. We actually need to get you to have an Athos brand soup. That's what we need. We need merch, you know? You need Athos merch that isn't just like pins and stickers. That's all great and stuff, but you need to think soup. Munch merch. Yeah! There you go. Munch merch. It's your only talent. That is not true. Right. I do remember that, Arudinel. Yeah. Covered in straw. Yep. I do. And by remember, I mean I remember reading about it. Not that I was there. Not that old. You should. You should do a cookbook. That'd be awesome. What's up, Rippin? How you doing, man? Yeah, streamers do leave their homes. That is the rumor. And I have indeed left my house. Once in a while I do these streams during the day when I am out waiting for something, like right now where I'm waiting for my car and then I gotta go get a routine blood draw and all that, so. Yep. No, I knew about the ice thing. But I hadn't thought about the Ice Baron idea. I guess tied up as a part of it. Yep. Yeah. Just put it in the icebox. How you been, Rippin? Hope you're hanging in there okay. Had a burlap sack in the river near your home to keep it frozen. I could see that. Yeah. It's true. It's true. Like Trent just said about enduring, it's the same deal. Yeah, no, I know. You're like, oh, I'm living. You're like, all right. But I think one of the things that's important is having a sense of. Oh, this guy's gonna get in trouble. There's this. Okay, I'm gonna show you something for a minute. Okay, so right across the way, there's this like greenhouse thing, And this guy, who I think owns the green, like the florist shop, I think is what that is, has this Jeep, does not like it when people park the way that this truck just parked. So he is going to come out any minute. He went over to here, to this place where I am, this deli, and he's going to come out and he's going to come over and tell the guy to move. And we'll be there, chat, when it happens. But anyway, what I was going to say before was, yeah, having the ability to connect with people. When people ask, how are you doing? I think people sometimes don't realize the extent to which knowing that people have a particular spot that they're doing whatever, that they're traveling, but that they always travel, so it's cool, or they're doing okay, or their kid has done this, and we have a tendency, I think, in our minds, part of the way that we construct reality is through the things that we imagine about how other people are living in their realities at the time. And so when you don't do that, one of the reasons you, quote, want to catch up with people is you really, genuinely want to know how they're doing, because you want to continue to see how your own reality is in place. So when I ask these things, first of all, genuinely want to know how people are doing and if they're okay. But then also, I genuinely want to know, it helps me too, because I'm glad to know that, because I know, that people are doing okay, and there are slots in my mind, basically, where I've thought about stuff. So, what's up, DeCeCe? Yes, another day out. I am. This time it's just regular maintenance on my car, but then after that I have to go get a blood draw. So I can't eat. So instead I am drowning my sorrows with this water bottle. And I forgot my water bottle from home, because we have filtered water, and I forgot it at home, so I had to go get this. You enjoy these streams more? Well, I'm glad you enjoy them. So maybe if I just walked around my house with my phone, DeCeCe, when I stream at home, if I just did the little shaky cam of my video game that I play, or a tabletop, whatever, have them draw your blood in a fantasy setting. All right, sir. Slash. Yeah, not my favorite thing to do, but you get to see my country. Well, this time I don't know how much I'm not sure how much I'm going to be moving around this time, actually. Not my house. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Seeing how the friends are doing is such a big deal. It really is. Yeah, yeah. It's true, yeah. Or, or if people are feeling okay, sometimes they feel like they don't want to, they feel guilty. I am not in that state at the moment. I kind of, like everyone else, we're just hanging in there the best I can. I'm doing all right, but when people do feel okay, then they feel guilty about saying they feel okay, because they're like, well, but other people aren't feeling okay. It's tough, man. Which is why we have conversations like this, so that doesn't become a major thing. Asking people if they're okay is my day job. DeCeCe, have we talked about this? What is your day job? I'm sure we have talked about it, and I apologize if I don't remember. Are you a therapist? Right. Exactly, Rudno. A psychiatry resident. Yes, that's right. I do remember. Yep, I do remember. Yeah, well, there you go. And that's exactly right, Rudno. How do you say you're okay when you're not, because you don't want to burden others? Exactly. It's hard to be honest with each other. I mean, I was talking to yesterday on the GOG stream, Peripheral Mike was talking about this. And Mike has openly struggled with depression for years, and he's been very honest about it. And he talked about how he was one person trying to normalize the discussion of it. So when I asked him that, and I never ask it just being like, oh, how's life? Oh, okay, like not actually wanting to hear the answer. I do want to hear how people are doing. Mike was like, truthfully, kind of shitty. He's like, has not been great. He said, but it has been really, really good to be together with you and things like this, and this really does improve my mood. He's like, so that's really good. He's like, but no, I'm not doing great. And he was very honest about it, and that kind of honesty I think is helpful. I think what is most difficult is when it's not bleak exactly, but when people are like, I feel like nothing will ever be better and I don't ever want to talk to anyone again. That's tough, right? But feeling bleak and despair and feeling awful or whatever, I think it's talking about, being clear about that, but also talking about how you're with other people so that hopefully you won't have to keep feeling that way, at least alone, that you're not the only one there. That really helps. Coming to terms with having non-okay days, weeks, first step to good mental health. It comes to practice, though. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. My wife is a therapist, as many of you know, and understanding that you're not always going to have a great day is important. And obviously when you're dealing with serious circumstances in your personal life, or obviously dealing with the world circumstances that all of us have been dealing with, and it's not just a single day, but it's weeks and months and sometimes years at a time, that becomes harder. But it is important, I think, to have those check-ins and to even do checklists of stuff. Like my therapist has always wants, every time before we have a meeting, wants me to do like a little checklist of stuff, just like how I'm doing, and checking that stuff in. And that's important. Yes. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, toxic is such a good word for so many things because it really is destructive. It's not optimism. It's not just, well, I keep on fighting. And no, trying to think about, trying to fight for what matters to you, trying to find ways that you can take care of yourself, trying to find ways that you can look forward to things. That's all positive. But acting like everything is joyful all the time and why are people, I just always happy, like that is toxic because it's not reality. And when we have reality constantly denied to us, that's a negative thing. That's something which causes all kinds of problems. Oh, interesting, Emily. Very interesting. Yes. That's a good way to look at it. Yeah, this is all fine. Like it's not fine. I don't want bleak, abandon all hope stuff, right? On a regular basis. That's why I don't like grimdark. But I also don't want everything is great all the time when it's not, because then we don't have anything to strive for. And I think it's also important on the other side of that, by the way, it's also important that when we do happen to have a really good day, or when we do happen to have really good moments, like Emily was talking about, I got to see friends, and it's like silly because you feel in a way because you're like, well, but I mean, but it's not silly at all. It's hugely important, and you need to be able to value that too, right? And to be able to say, this is a really good moment here that we're having. This is really important that we're doing this, So. Specific things of joy. Yeah, I can see that. For me, a lot of that is like pictures that I get sometimes. Not photographs, but like pictures that have been drawn, although photographs can help. But photographs of drawings even by the kids. Little Arv is very good at this, of giving stuff that I don't know, just is cheers people up, I guess, So it's yeah. So I can appreciate that almost talismanic quality. Hi, Triffid. Hello. But anyway, the point is celebrating when moments are good is also important. So make sure you give yourself time to do that, and feel it is also okay to celebrate when you're having a good day. And people need to see that too. To be honest about when you're not having a good day, and to celebrate when you are having a good day. That's cool, Ridnell. Extremely gay witch my wall next to me. That's nice. Dissociate or antagonize natural emotional reactions. Is that a defense to CC, you think? In many cases, are they because if you open yourself up to emotions, it means you can feel bad, you can feel bad things as well as good things. Do you think that's sort of a defense against protecting those things? Thank you, Brahms. What's up, man? Thank you so much for the resub. I appreciate it. 47 months. Thank you, Brahms. Appreciate it, man. Hope you're doing okay. We're just sitting around chatting. Well, yeah, absolutely it should be a health potion. What color is the ribbon, to be clear, Emily? Shiny purple. Very nice, very nice. But yeah, DeCC, I'm curious if you think that's a defense in certain cases. Somebody's asleep in the cold rain. How you doing, Echo? I am awake. You completed your Gray Shade survey. Also need more coffee. All right. I'm glad to hear that. I have seen some of the NPC details of what Brahms is going to include in things, so... Oh my goodness. Yeah, I could see that due to a sense of dread or hopelessness. Yeah, absolutely. What's up, Effect Life? No intercontinental food GPS today. No, I'm not allowed to have food until after I get my blood drawn. And also, how you doing, Effect Life? Good to see you. Thank you so much for the resub, man. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Are you going to, Hilness, do those details? That their emotions are valid reactions, yeah. That's, and I mean, I know it's been more, obviously it's been more, can you do your backer kit survey mid to late September? I would say too many things to buy for the flat right now. I would double check with such notable people as Emily and also the Alligator Alley folks. Different vibe. Well, it's fair enough. It's fair enough. It probably is. It is a different vibe. So I would ask the folks from Athos, and I would message them, or you can ask Emily in here. It doesn't matter to me. Okay, yeah, it doesn't matter to me, Echo. I don't think that's going to be a problem, but because we're not going to be delivering certainly the RPG and that sort of thing. Gray Shade you would already have received through things like digital stuff, but like the later books or whatever. That stuff is not coming. Renegade is not till next year, and the TTRPG is not till next year. So, but anyway, to go back to the emotional thing, DeCC, it feels to me like we should be able to do more of that. To acknowledge that emotions are okay. But it's odd to me, isn't it, that even in 2022. Still so many people are afraid of emotion, and yet or they narrow the field of emotion, so it's just anger, like it's just rage. Well, you can be angry, it's okay to be pissed off, and so much of our culture is based on that. Sports radio is all about people being pissed off at their sports team, or political talk, which tends to be about people being pissed off at politics, and it's such a narrow field. What about obviously joy, but what about just sadness or grief or ambivalence even, and sort of figuring out what the emotion actually is, and what about all these things instead of just anger, and that's the only thing you're allowed to have, particularly for men. There is such a devastating focus, at least in America, on anger as the one primary permitted emotion for men, that it means that men who do not like anger struggle to sort of to address it and deal with it and feel it in a healthy way, because it is an emotion like any other. And it means that lots of other men, that's all they do is anger. So it hurts people that are both afraid of or do not like anger particularly, and people who are only comfortable with anger. So, anger is one of many emotions. And it's my whole frustration about nuance in general, that people have a tendency to be like, let me just do one thing. And I'm like, life is complex, my guy. Like, you got more emotions than that. Right, Emily, yeah. Oh, that's really good to hear, DeCeCe. That's awesome. That's got to make you feel super good when you really have helped someone, really, really helped someone. Right. Yeah, for sure, Emily. And a rock feels no pain, and an island never cries. Da-na-na-na-na-na. Great Paul Simon right there. Oh, wow, Brahms. That's interesting. I will let the actual psychiatric and, I should say, psychological experts weigh in, but that's good, DeCeCe. But I'll let the actual ones weigh in there, Brahms. But yeah, I mean, that's the other thing too, is having. I know. I guess I just know this now because of what we've dealt with my own kids. And my kids are just kids. They deal with some of the same situations, and both kids are sensitive. But I think it's just awareness. And I don't, now having gone through that, it's hard for me to understand why parents so often, in at least my generation, the Gen X, parents were not aware, like weren't keyed in, weren't connected, so many of them. And like, what a difference it makes to just be aware of your kid and to be aware of what they're going through and to be making an effort to help. All right, sounds good. Sleep well, Trent. Just reaching out to just help and being there is a huge part of it to begin with, even if you're not a therapist yourself or an expert or, whatever. So. Oh, God, no, it's awful. Yeah. Yeah. I think my wife's opinion is that anxiety is a wildly underdiagnosed condition, not because people don't diagnose it enough in a way, but because it is covering over the sort of root causes of anxiety. There are a lot of them, but that there are a lot of people who are simply anxious. And the reasons that they're anxious and that sort of thing is important to kind of tease out. But you have a lot of anxious people in society. That are just never diagnosed as such. And when they are diagnosed, it's just kind of okay, so you're anxious. And then nothing's done about it, right? So being able to diagnose you're anxious, and here's why, and let's talk about the reasons, that's a big part of it. Okay, I'll check it in the Discord later, Helmus. Yeah, it's awful, Ridno. Same shit to Sylvia Plath, with wonderful effects, because that certainly, she certainly didn't have any mental health issues later. Oh wait, man. What are you gonna do, a 3D model of the interior of the house, Hilmus? That's pretty slick. Of The Office. That's pretty sweet. You should do like a Pimp My Office. Yeah. I think you should do one of those like blind corners where you have like the corner goes, you know, like out, but then it's actually you rotate it like a Lazy Susan, like zoop, and you're like, aha, you know. Right. Exactly. The last line of treatment and under anesthesia and whatever, like just crazy talk. You're not sure your floor could handle that much weight? Well, you know, maybe it has like, all you have to do though is put like some books in there, and then when you list the house, when you go to sell it, you know, in a couple years, whatever, and you're just like, secret bookcase. Like, how many people immediately, secret bookcase? What? There's a secret bookcase. It's like, now I do not have this in my own home. I have a nice staircase, but I do not have a spiral staircase. But straight up, if you put spiral staircase in a home description, immediately my interest level is like, goes up that much higher. Because it's a spiral staircase. It's like saying, you know, secret library, hidden game room, like anything like that. I'm like, sign me up. Yeah. Aw, that's terrible, Emily. I'm so sorry to hear that. My wife, I may have told this story before, but my wife had a routine called, it just reminded me, Invisible Comedian, where she would go into, this is when she was like 4, she would go into a closet, close the door, and then she would yell out jokes outside of the closet, like out the closet. And if people didn't laugh, like my wife got very, very sad, like just suffused with grief sad, because no one was laughing at the jokes of the Invisible Comedian. The funniest story. Oh man. No, I know, Emily, I know. Why are you not laughing at the Invisible Comedian? Yeah, no, betrayal is betrayal of everything. That, on top of everything else, that's just a betrayal of the inner life, you know, and that's even worse. Betrayal of the inner life. It's hard. Yeah, that's right. I think the best authors, in a lot of ways, are ones that can tag into, that can tap into, sort of an emotional wellspring, and can articulate it in a way that it resonates for an audience. So it's not enough to say, if you're an author, it's not enough to feel something or to have gone through something if you can't render it in a way that other people can feel it too. And so sometimes authors, I think, make the mistake of trying to create only the experience that only matters to them, when the reality is they're trying to create an experience that matters to them but also will connect with other people. And so thinking of it that way, I always try to think of it as you're communicating on a basic level. You're communicating an emotional state. And that really makes a difference. Yeah. But see, there is a great amount of craft, actually, associated with being able to do that, and doing so sometimes effortlessly. Authors that can render those things in a smooth, coherent way, in an effective way, it's not easy to do that. Man, if you get authors who can do that super well, and you get some of this effect, I think, too, with other forms of media, certainly with games, with film and TV, acting, dance. There are certain things that just sort of hit an emotional state in a more effective way. So, oh, absolutely. Yep. Right. Yep. My own writing improved substantially when I became less afraid to to render that emotion. And again, I don't necessarily think, first of all, writing is different for different purposes, and you're doing different things with it. And I think the best writing works on multiple levels. I think the best writing works on levels where there are moments of great emotional connection, joy and sadness, and grief and disgust and anger, and the whole panoply. But then also things where you're able to, if this is the book that you're writing, render a good fight scene. There's craft in all of it. But I think there's equally as much craft, quite obviously, in shaping the pain one feels or the joy one feels, shaping the emotional experience in a way that resonates with others. That is also a craft thing. And so she does somewhat, DeCeCe. Not a lot in a way that's painful to me. She never does anything like that would be painful to me. But she does sometimes talk a little bit about particular groups of students, of clients, or if she's got sort of, especially like a series of things in a row. There's a Law and Order episode called Mayhem, in which basically there's just like the detectives are dealing with like 5 homicides, and there's all this stuff happening at the same time. And it's just, instead of having the typical thing of law and then order where you have the police and then you have the trial and all that, instead they just have basically this cutting from scene to scene, and they have a ticking clock, which is always striking because it's the only time, as far as I know, that Law and Order ever did that. So that's a little bit what it's like when Mrs. Arv has had a lot of that at once, had a week with a lot of clients with very difficult circumstances or whatever, all in the same way, then absolutely she'll talk to me about that. And she also has her own therapist, too, and she believes that therapists should generally have their own therapists, and if they don't, they're kind of doing it wrong, precisely for that reason, because they need someone else. And so for me, who is someone who cares about her, and she cares about me, and we love each other and all that, and also I'm a reasonably intelligent person who is not going to be like, what? Turn on the football game, that sort of thing. Because that's what I'm there for. But she also needs someone who is I think I know a fair bit about general psychology, but I'm not a therapist, right? I'm not a professional. I'm a professor and an author and a game master or whatever, right? I'm not. So she needs a professional as well. So she has a professional that she talks to, a professional therapist, and also talks to me sometimes. So, and I like hearing. First of all, I want to help out whenever I can with her, but secondly, I also like hearing about. Oh, thank you, Hummus. I also like hearing about people engaged in their craft, whatever that is. I like hearing about competence, right? And when people are talking about what they're experiencing, good and bad, that's something which is hugely important, to be able to talk about one's, training, I guess. So I like hearing about stuff like that, quite apart from the fact that I also want to help her and I also want to be there for her. But I also like hearing some of those things. Debriefing is still lacking, is it? Yeah. See that? I feel like that's really important to CC because you're not a you're not a wall. If you're going to be a successful therapist, you've got to be able to connect on some emotional level with your clients without getting enmeshed with them. And that means that you're going to, unless you're not a human being, you're going to have feelings that come up because, again, feelings. And that means you're going to have to be able to respond to those feelings, and you're going to have to process them too. Yeah, that's well said, Rudnell. That's well said. That's absolutely well said. I totally agree with you, yes. I think people come to GMing for different reasons, but I totally agree with you. And I think that reaches out. Yeah, I'm glad about that too, DeCeCe, because that's so important. And, yeah, that's very well said, Rudnell, as always. Yeah, 100%. Because at its best, what a wonderful role-playing session does is it represents a full range of emotional states where there is a lot of humor and a lot of fun, and there's a lot of being pissed off, but there's a lot of sadness, there's a lot of joy, there's a lot of quiet. There's just a lot in a good session. And not all sessions reach that, and you shouldn't be striving. Not every session has to be intense. Doesn't always have to be intense. But sessions should be able to be intense. And I think the best GMs strive to make it where those stories are played out along the full range of experiences. And again, the best stories do that too. This is one of the reasons why some of the famous authors, this is why Shakespeare was so brilliant, because his work was often bittersweet. Some of my favorite work from Shakespeare are the romances, big R, not romance like love romance, but romances, because they are also known as tragicomedies. And that to me also incorporates a lot of what there is. The Tempest is a wonderful play because it incorporates so much of good and bad. I feel the same way. I have a soft spot in my heart for Winter's Tale because I acted in it in college, but Winter's Tale is the same way. The plays that deal with this broad panoply of emotions are great stuff. And obviously, my favorite work, Lord of the Rings, is a bittersweet work. It is a work of sadness and joy, and many other things. So, yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. One of the times that we do, a lot of the D&D with viewer stuff we've been doing of late to CC has been having chat play together in an adventure. And so it hasn't been quite the same, but at some point I'm going to get back to doing D&D with viewers every other month. It's just a lot of prep and work to do it. It's why I haven't been able to do it as much that way. But that is something that you should think about. Although I know time zones are hard because I usually do that in the evenings to CC Eastern time, which is not great for you, I imagine. But that's very kind of you to say, Effect Life. I hope so. I hope so. Well, I guess they're getting it on a certain level, Emily, which is why Just Bart attracted the award. Even if they can't articulate it, they're feeling something there, right? So, no time is good for emulation, Doctor. Yeah, Effect Life, that's very kind of you to say. I have seen some, honestly, some of that I've gotten, of course, from wonderful game masters, and I have many of them on my own channel here. Besides, I'll leave other people to say what kind of GM I am, but Mike and Brandon. Brandon has done some wonderful GMing work on my channel, and we've had other people in the Bag of Giving events. Some of those folks have done a wonderful job too. And I mean, all of them have been good, but I'm saying some of them have really kind of stood out. So I get some of it from game masters that I watch for sure. And then the other part of it that I get is also from debate. Again, I've said many times that public speaking... What's up, Stalio? Good to see you, man. I've talked about how debate is easily the most important thing I ever did in college. Two most important things I did in college. One, student teaching, because it gave me experience in the classroom that I needed. Two, debate. Easily. And the reason is that first of all, it tagged into something I really was good at and that felt very affirming to me, and like so many good things about my personality that it just fit. But the other thing is that it was a lot of the stuff there was moving, and I will remember those events for the rest of my life. And that experience of going on a journey, right, emotional journey or otherwise, in debate is something which I learned, and I saw some of the best public speakers ever deliver speeches that were just heart-stoppingly good. And I just drank that in, you know, and I try to keep that in mind. It's about, sorry, I've been leaning over too much. It's about pacing. It's about breath. It's about space. Miles Davis said that space is as important as sound. And he was 100% right. When you're improvising in a jazz solo, silence is as important as sound. And it's the same thing with role-playing. Moments of silence and moments of space to let people think is really critical. In teaching, there is an early experience that one has where teachers, especially early amateur teachers or just early on in their development, think that when you have a moment in class where no one's talking, they get very uncomfortable and they need to fill it in. And they're just like, and so a couple seconds pass and then they immediately start talking because they're like, oh my God, everyone's bored. It's not it. When you are in the process of going through powerful moments of exploration in literature, or hell, powerful moments of exploration just in life generally, which is what the humanities is about, the human experience, right? There are moments where you need to give people time to process it. And so there are times where I will literally, like a point will have been made, and I'll just stop and wait. And during that time, you can see students will get a little like antsy, but a lot of them, and inevitably then a student will be like, so then can we say that Ophelia, blah, 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 or whatever it is? You need to give people space to process. And so that is the same thing in game mastering. You need to give people a space to process their emotions. And you all know, I've talked about this a million times, the times where I'm feeling and I mean, I love game mastering, but the times where I'm like, the moments that are among my favorites are the ones where the players are just playing it out with each other, and I'm just like, and I lean back, and you'll see me do it on stream. I will lean back in a chair, and I'll just listen. That is 100% gold. If you are listening to the players play, you have achieved what you should have. Right, without the silence, a trumpet is just a loud flatulence. That's it. I love those so much, Echo. That's platinum. Yeah, no, quite right. Quite right. That's right. I love that so much. And again, and important to say, that often that also has to be players with each other, right? Sometimes a person giving a single monologue about something that matters, that's important, and there needs to be time for that. But also, players talking with each other. Players talking with each other. That is so important. Characters talking with each other. Minus the thing. I have ways of making you learn. You cannot teach if you're speaking over the student's thoughts. What a great line. Yeah, that's 100% right. It's 100% right. Because yeah, but but everybody learns though, Echo. I think you folks did really well in that campaign, and I'm hoping that at some point when Shadow's in a different space that you'll be able to come back to it. Absolutely. Absolutely. I always try to mention the quality of the player, because the player is what it's all about, you know. You need great players. And great players come in different shapes and sizes, by the way. Great players are not just... this is the sort of, about the critical role part. Thank you, Turbo Tango. We're talking about game mastering right now, Mike. Thank you so much for the sub. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. We're talking about good game mastering right now, so this is right up your alley. But having... I don't remember what I was going to say. Great players. Great players come in different shapes and sizes. There are players who are wonderfully invested in their characters and will not deviate from what their characters are doing, recognizing that those characters also exist in the world. Tren as a character is a player like this. I think Tren's a wonderful player. And one of the reasons is that Tren is very good at being committed to his character, but also knowing that the character themselves will change and can change their mind. In Curse of Strahd, Tren was playing Weller Pale, and Weller was really pissed off at this one guy who he thought had done something that he shouldn't have done. And he was mad at him, and he was having this whole big discussion. Now, a lesser player would have played that out and then would have refused to change his opinion, the character's opinion about that other NPC. He would have just been like, nope, this is what he believes, and he's just going to always believe it. And then you hit a wall where you can't just have one player being in it for themselves. Like, it's a game that other players have to have fun too. But what he did that was wonderful was his character changed his mind. And you saw it happen, where he's talking with this guy, and the guy says, well, because you need to remember, this is how I felt about this, this, and this. And the character says, well, maybe. And Tren's character changed his opinion of that NPC. Wonderful play, because it means he had invested himself in the life of that character. So there are some players like that. There are some players who are very good at letting other players be the stars, so to speak, but are able to be, whenever they speak, whenever they say something, you're like, damn. Like, they make every line count. Everything they say counts. That really matters. There are some players who are natural leaders and fun, and they always have a good time, and they're always sort of, they always are infectious with their experience. Marie is a player like this, I think. And I don't mean that Marie is just a ha-ha-ha goofball all the time. She can be serious when she wants to be, but Marie just has this infectious optimism about her play that really comes through. So if you get a mixture of all of those types of players, the sort of still water runs deep player, the expression-full player, that's what you want as a mix. Oh, cool, Get Ghosted. I have done some LARP, but not a lot. And most of the stuff that I've done has been like in other forms, like Werewolf or whatever, but even that's not the same thing. So I've seen some LARP being played. I have not done a lot of it myself. Yeah, I agree to Rudno. Tren's a wonderful player. I mean, Tren's a very good player. But again, I'm lucky. I do not have a single one of my players that I don't think is a good player, or I wouldn't have invited them to be playing, frankly. And there are many others that I don't play with that are still great. I have not had the chance to play much with Yori Cassano, for example, but I think Yori does a very good job. I'm sure Mike would agree in work. Mike is a good player. Valerie is a good player. Yoi Gawain Lin is always thinking through about how to make his character work, and I whatever that character happens to be, and I'll give Brandon a plug too. Brandon is very good, Brandon O'Brien, at allowing those players to kind of feel out what their character is like emotionally also. So, right or no? You know what, DeCC, if you do, then hopefully the players and the GM will say, hey, maybe dial it back a bit, in live game RPG. Oh, I see. No, still though, even so, TTRPG is a big part of that. Yeah, listen, Greyshade, when Greyshade is done, we're going to have it there. Yeah, cool, Get Ghosted, yeah. We did the whole Curse of Strahd campaign on this channel. In fact, the audio podcast right now that's being produced by Yo Rudy is actually of Curse of Strahd. Yay! I'm glad, Echo. I know that move has been so long in coming, so I'm glad we're going to actually have it happen. Right. Oh, man. So I'm going to warn everyone up front. I already have multiple people who have expressed interest in the Greyshade campaign. Multiple people. And so I am going to have a lot of people to think through and work through. I will try to come up with some balance. Also, I certainly would not be opposed to A, more than one campaign of it, and B, more than one GM of it. Okay, like it doesn't have to be me doing it either. So there will be opportunities for that. I should warn everyone as well that Greyshade, remember, is going to have multiple classes, so it's not just going to be everyone playing awesome, badass assassins like acolytes all the time, because I'm hoping other people will also want to play the informant, other people will also want to play the the merchant or the noble or the investigator or the bonus classes. I'm hoping that other people will want to do other classes, not just the acolyte. Obviously, Greyshade type of character is near and dear to my heart, but yeah. You spent over 200 on the bed. Oh, nice. Right. That's exactly right, Arudnell. Actually, you're thinking exactly along the lines that I want to think, which is that I would like to have several of them. My ideal, honestly, this is my dream, and I don't know whether I can make this work. But there is a part of me that would love to have essentially 3 or 4 different groups, and I don't know that I have the spoons. I can't do it all myself. I would GM one of these. I couldn't GM all of them, but at least like 3. And maybe this could even be a speculate thing. I have to run that by Turbo Tango and Rising Tides. But having basically 3 different groups, 3 GMs, 3 different groups, 3 sets of players, all in Corel, but having it basically be an event where eventually those 3 adventures tie together. I cannot think of something which would be a better, and maybe have one longer lasting campaign, which is just one group over time, but having maybe a month or 2 where we have those 3 different groups. I can't think of a better sales pitch for an RPG that I want very much to be commercially successful as well as critically successful. I do not think there's anything like what we want to do with Greyshade on the market. There are ways to get to it. Blades in the Dark has some feel like it, but even that is not the same thing. Greyshade is not about heists. And so I am very excited for the commercial potential. So hopefully we'll see. Well, listen, Echo, we spend, 1/3 of our lives at least on our beds. They ought to be comfortable. So, and good for us. Yeah, exactly. Right. That would be really slick. That would be really slick, Turbo, doing something like that. Right. And also, I think Johnny did... No, it wasn't Johnny. Grimjack, I believe it was Grimjack, who was on my Assignment Impossible campaign for a bit. He did a thing, and Tren was on this, of Highlander. I want to do something like this actually with Beowulf a little bit. With Highlander, where he had Tren, and then there were 2 or 3 other people, and they all basically battled out until they had one alone. It was a limited kind of thing, but that would be slick. Yeah. That would be super slick. I was about to say the phrase, don't sleep on the pillow. Literally as in don't sleep on this thing being a good thing, but then I realized don't sleep on a pillow would have a very different connotation. That's not... So, you should sleep on a pillow, but also don't sleep on how cool a pillow is, on how important a pillow is. Plywood base, exactly 7 inches of foam. Do you have Rudnell, do you have a larger one or a smaller one? Because we ended up getting a king-size bed, and I'll tell you why, because we have 2 kids. And the amount of time that one or both, of the kids, plus myself and my wife are on that bed at one time, hell yeah, we got a king-size bed, because we have 2 children. Quick programming note, by the way, chat. I may or may not get a call at some point from the dealer, from the place right across the street, letting me know the car's ready. At which point I will have to take the call, and I might have to end this stream suddenly. So if I do, just so you know, love you all. You're all the best, and I really enjoyed this, and I am, and I'm glad when we get a chance to do these, and it's fun chatting with all of you. I'm not going anywhere yet. I'm not leaving yet. I'm just letting you know that could happen, so I'm just letting you know. Okay. Yeah, I wondered about that, Rudnell. I wondered about that, because I know some people who like to be in smaller beds. See, I like being in a bigger bed, mostly because, I'm 6'3", but also because like I say, especially with kids and everything else, like I need room. Man, that was the one problem. Debating in college, you would end up sleeping like basically wherever they put you. Housing would be in these different rooms or whatever. So a lot of times you're in sleeping bags, right? But even when you got like a bed, it was like a dorm bed where it's like barely a single. Like it's kind of ambitious to call it a single, and you're like right on that side. Yay! That would be awesome. That would be awesome, Turbo Tango. I've heard there's been a lot of people talking about Spelljammer lately. Just in my feed. A lot of people have been talking about Spelljammer. You enjoy sleeping like a starfish? Yeah, exactly. I don't understand this. My 6-year-old, right, if he happens to be sleeping in our bed one night because he had a nightmare or something or whatever, if I come to bed later, which I usually do, I get over there. Huge polar bear, yeah. If I go that, I don't understand it. My son just takes up 2/3 of the remaining space. So it's like, here's my wife, and then here's my son, as you say, starfish-like. And I'm just like, so I just got to the point where I'm just like, before I used to be very cautious, and now I'm just like, roll him over. Because he's going to not wake up or he's going to go to sleep immediately thereafter. I'm just like, no, listen, I am a grown-ass adult. I am 49 years old. I'm going to sleep on my own damn bed. Here, go up against your mom. I just don't understand it. How can a kid, he's tall for his age, but he's still only 6. How can a 6-year-old take up, I don't know, my wife is on half of the bed. How can he take up 3/4 of the remaining half? It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, exactly. It does. It almost feels like that. He doesn't toss and turn. It's not like that. It's just that by the time I get to him, his placement is just coordinated to be I don't understand it. It's amazing. So I have to play kid Tetris to move, and I'm like, dude. He meditates, yes. Right. He achieves perfect sleep. He actually, the thing is that he has never cheated on a day in terms of energy level. His energy is there. So by the time he gets to the end, he's usually pretty tired when he actually gets to bed. So waking up is, when he wakes up, he's up. But definitely there are times where we have to be like, hey, let's go. I think I'm going to switch over to this bench, actually. Because this table is hurting my back. Oh, okay, that's better. Much, much better. He stays awake and he sings to himself in bed. Aw, that's sweet. A panda foraging for food? I don't know whether to, is that related to the nightmare? That I don't know whether to be, sorry for you or not about that. Do that exercise game again. No, I don't, it's not, No, it's just that, if you get crunched up too far and I'm like leaning over something, that's not so great. So I have to be careful about that so that I don't sort of crunch up too much. She thinks it's cute. Well, that's what matters. That's what matters. Listen, if your wife thinks you're doing cute things, that's usually a good sign. The nightmare was not so cute. I had this image of you actually being like a panda foraging, and like there was a nightmare associated with that. Monster Hunter. I've watched Rob play some of that. Felt like the Happening on steroids. Wait, was it the Happening or was it watching the Happening? Because watching the Happening is the worst nightmare. One of the worst movies. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. It's such a dumb movie. It's so dumb. Oh, man. So I watched Rob playing it. I think the only thing about Monster Hunter is I don't love super grindy stuff, Echo. I mean, no, not Echo. You didn't say that. Brom said that. Both of you were green in my chat, so it's kind of grindy, and I don't know that that's my bag. Because the other thing about Monster Hunter is it always feels like I'm watching people like try to deal with like sacks of hit points creatures, and I don't know that that's my favorite thing. Woke up with your son just dead eye staring. Oh my god, that's awful. No, I have not had that experience, but yes, that's right. Because yesterday was my wedding anniversary, so I was hanging out with my wife. Yes, we do need to do that. Let me see. I think what we'll do is actually maybe we can do this. Okay, you did 200 hours. All right, I'll try the demo. It might be cool. I will check out the demo of that. What nominations have you got? Let's take a few of those right now, Effect Life. We don't have the usual ARV bot to do it with, but oh, congratulations, Brahms. Yeah, 19 years. Next year, we were talking about this, that next year is going to be a big one for us. 20-year anniversary next year of marriage. That's a lot. And actually, I've been with her, we started dating in 1997. So that means I was 25 when we started dating. So that means that within a couple of months, actually, because we started dating October, I believe it was. So after October, I will have been with her longer in my life than without her, which is quite something. So let's see, Whispers of a Machine, okay. Oh man. Typo Man. The game follows a hero named Hero who crafts words to alter the environment around him. That's cool. Well, listen, Effect Life, the last time you suggested something, it was There Is Not a Game, I think, and that one was a really good choice. So, okay, so we've got Typo Man. What is Whispers of a Machine? Oh, no, you told me this, Echo, but remind me. Whispers of a Machine is an AI thing? Can you remind me what Whispers of a Machine is? Otherwise, Typo Man sounds good, Effect Life. I'll take that as a nomination. First-person view, group of friends drop by a diner, small town, people staring at the outsiders. Hell broke loose when one of the outsiders went to wash his hands. Town folk at the diner started approaching slowly, zombie-like. My brain zoomed in on one of their friends' faces en route. Are you saying, DeCeCe, that you created a nightmare of Plants vs. Zombies? You basically made the game Plants vs. Zombies, but all in your head. In a nightmare. That's what happened. It's a point-and-click adventure. Okay, but is it... That's fine. It is not a horror adventure, though, is it, Echo? That's the only thing. It's not a horror adventure? Yes. Lost in Random. That's right. You recommended that, too, and that is also good. Yep. Okay, it's not a horror game. Okay, good. All right, well, then that's fine. So, Typo Man... and we've got Whispers of a Machine. It's a great name, by the way, for a game. Whispers of a Machine, and Typo Man. Anyone else? I'll take nominations right now. I got 2 so far. Why the body decides to... Maybe you were doing some tower defense version to CC. Citizen Sleeper. Right, which you played, right? Right, Mike? I think you played that. Okay, so we've got Whispers of a Machine, Typo Man, and Citizen Sleeper. Any other noms?
Here.
Yeah, no, I remember hearing Mike talk about Citizen Sleeper, and it was pretty cool. Yeah. I watched you play some of that. That was pretty cool. All right, so I got 3 choices. Okay. I won't be able to check it, just so you know, Echo, until later, because I'm on the road, as you know. But I'm out. But when I get home. All right. Anybody else? So we got Typo Man. We've got Citizen Sleeper. Oh, it might be a decent Argonauts game. Okay. I'll keep that in mind. We're going to be finishing Purgatory next Tuesday. Purgatory has been such a great Argonauts game. I mean, our vocalist game. Okay, cool. Thanks, Echo. So, Citizen Sleeper, Whispers of a Machine, and Typo Man. Anyone else? Anyone else? Oh, also, by the way, and I'm going to be looking at this elsewhere. If anyone has a suggestion if anyone has a voice actor that they know, well, I'm going to get out of the way of this person. Truck keeps going back and forth. I don't know what they're doing. But if anyone has a voice actor that they know that might be interested in doing what we do, it has to be a person, not just someone who's like, oh, I like doing voices. I mean someone who actually has professional voice acting experience that might be interested in doing something like what we do. Definitely send them my way via Discord or whatever. Like, just send me a DM, because I am looking for 1 or 2 others. Especially, I would like to have another female voice actor, female or female presenting voice actor, and someone who can do somewhat higher voices as well. So that would be useful. Yes. Yeah. Laura Witchy. Yeah, Echo. Okay. Yeah, let me think about that. I will. That's not a bad thought. I don't actually know what's going on with Lauren right now in general, but I can check that out. Okay, so we have those 3 choices. So what I'm going to do, Chad, is, because I got to get rolling here, because I think the car, it looks like the dealership just called me, so I got to check out that message. So what I'm going to do is, if one of the mods would be so kind as to add those 3 games to the straw poll. So the straw poll, which will be finished next Tuesday. So it's going to be Typo Man, Citizen Sleeper, and Whispers of a Machine. Those 3, if you could put those into the straw poll, and then if Echo's able to do the straw poll, I know you often do, and then you're able to, one of the mods can link it to the next game command, that would be awesome. And then we'll be able to do that for next Tuesday. But I am going to roll on out of here so I can make sure that I pick up the car. And do that. So that's what I'm going to do. Thank you very much, everybody. But I'm going to rise up on out of here. This was great, though. I really enjoy hanging out with everybody, and I really enjoy you folks are all the best. So thank you for a great conversation. I hope you enjoyed it. This time without food, and hopefully I'll be getting this car back soon so I can go get my blood draw and I can go eat. So, but that's going to be it for me. You know the way to support the channel. Thanks for those of you who resub. Please sub to the channel, support the Patreon, follow the channel, Discord, Twitter, all that kind of good stuff. Please check out my work. Icarus, Gray Shade, Tales and Tomes, The Forbidden Library, and all that kind of stuff. And I will catch all of you lovely people. We'll be back. Remember, Friday is Valorword. Friday is Court of Blades. So we will be back Friday evening with Court of Blades with Turbo Tango GMing, and I will be back with the rest of the crew, with myself, Brandon, Preemy, and Marie. And so, yeah, I'll be back. But thanks for hanging out, everybody. And, yeah, I will catch all of you lovely folks down the line. Bye for now. Oh, and be good to each other.